Betsy and Thomas here for the American Intelligence Media, where we decode the Trump tweets. And today we're looking at tweets from the end of the day of May 25th and into today, May 26, 2018. So we have a fantastic decoder cryptologist here, Thomas Paine. Are you ready for the first tweet decode?
Well, we'll do our best, Betsy.
Okay. Chicago police have every right to legally protest against the mayor and an administration that just won't let them do their job. The killings are at a record pace, and tough police work, which Chicago will not allow, would bring things back to order fast. The killings must stop. And before you get started, if you want to follow along and read the tweets with us, look in the description box, click on the link, and you'll be taken to a written form of the tweets. Thomas, go ahead.
First tweet as we said, he can't name these people because in some cases it'd be a little bit tough. But of course, he's talking about Rahm Emanuel. And Rahm Emanuel, who was part of the Chicago mob, he was the chief of staff of Obama. And he is as corrupt as he can be. He went back to Chicago and became the mayor. And now it has become the killing capital of America. He does nothing to support the police there. It's rampant. We had a friend who was actually just shot dead walking in the streets of Chicago, not just last year. Nothing is being done. The gangs rule the city. In certain areas, you just can't go. And he tried to send in as much federal help as Rahm Emanuel would take. What did he take? 20 federal agents came to help. Whereas his boss, Obama, wanted to put the Strong Cities United Nations effort into place, where in Chicago they have enough equipment to literally roll out what would be equivalent to a National Guard to stop these killings, to stop the gangs. No, Rahm Emanuel won't let any of the very things that Obama and Hillary were going to use to take over our cities to try to bring peace to Chicago. So the only way this is going to happen is if the corruption of Rahm Emanuel leaves and we actually, for once, get a non-corrupt city government in Chicago.
Okay, the next tweet. Funny to watch the Democrats criticize trade deals being negotiated by me when they don't even know what the details are. And when for 8 years the Obama administration did nothing on trade except let other countries rip off the United States. Lost almost $800 billion a year under O.
Basically, we weren't doing trade deals. We were simply giving it all away. And I don't see how anyone can look at Obama's administration and find anything he did that was good. Every single trade deal he did was bad. Every single military action he took was bad. It was illegal. And so what Trump is basically saying is $800 billion, yes, that's just the trade deals that he can rearrange in 1 year as his job as the chief executive also of the United States of America. So what he's doing here, we've already seen $800 billion is one trip to Saudi Arabia he was able to earn for America. So he is transforming every trade deal. He's transforming the entire way that the United States aid to foreign countries works. He is transforming everything. The entire civil service is being transformed with the 3 new executive orders. It's all being transformed. So when they criticize him, it's a joke. I think that they're going to lose many seats in the Congress and the Senate in this next election because they have no plan except to criticize, and what they're criticizing everybody is in agreement with. So I don't know what the Democrats are doing, but he's been recently, complaining or criticizing them because they're basically nuts. The things that they are saying are completely nuts. And criticizing these trade deals, these are the first time in decades that we're actually getting the advantage.
Well, that would assume that you were thinking that the Obama administration was really pro-America. That is not their agenda. Their agenda was to allow globalism to continue to seep in so that it was a total takeover and takedown of the United States. So for Obama, he did a good job.
Yeah, in gutting America. Yes.
Yeah, in gutting America. Okay, now Thomas, the next thought comes into 2 tweets, so let me read them both, please. Senator Schumer and Obama administration let phone company ZTE flourish with no security checks. I closed it down, then let it reopen with high-level security guarantees, change of management and board, must purchase U.S. parts, and pay a $1.3 billion fine. Dems do nothing but complain and obstruct. They made only bad deals, parentheses, Iran, close parentheses, and their so-called trade deals are the laughingstock of the world.
This one is chock full of secret information.
I know. As soon as I saw the ZTE earlier, I went, oh boy, we're going to be talking about, are we going into 5G now? No.
Well, we can.
Okay, well, go ahead.
It is part of that. What's really happening here, some of the people who would like to mislead you will tell you the ZTE phones are going to be used as the secure phones between the dark cabal. Complete nonsense.
And if you're listening to people who are doing videos like that, take note. If they're telling you that kind of stuff, what else are they telling you that's disinformation or just flat out wrong?
Now, I'm going to tell you what's really being said here. What's really being said here is Lenovo. Lenovo was the IBM laptop that was sent to the market, was bought and then sent to China. And then they put in their own semiconductors and their own microprocessing chips. Those microprocessing chips on Lenovo came so loaded that your computer was nothing but a commercial, and everything that you were doing was even more broadcast to the makers of Lenovo, IBM, here in America, who were collecting that data just like Microsoft is collecting it through their Microsoft chips. On every Microsoft Intel chip is an ME, a mechanical engine. Well, those same mechanical engines were on the ZTE phones as well as the Lenovo Chinese laptops. So when you were getting a phone, you weren't getting a phone, you were getting a surveillance device that was so linked up to the things that now Facebook is being accused of taking all your information, selling it for commercial purposes, and to be targeted even for political reasons or whatever reason. It doesn't matter. Sell it to whoever. China was getting in on the deal. China wanted to become the new Apple, the new Microsoft, the new Facebook here, and they wanted the 5G market. They were 1 inch away from getting it until Trump overnight decided that it was a corrupt deal, having Qualcomm and Broadcom joined together. That would have put 5G in the hands of the Chinese, and they would have irradiated all of us until we're all sterile.
Let's use the word microwaved. They would have microwaved us.
It is, well, it's higher than even microwave. It's
yes,
milliwave.
It's milliwave.
But I like what you're saying because imagine the concept. Let's just climb in your microwave, folks, and have someone turn it on. Does that sound logical? Well, that's what microwave is doing. And G5 is milliwave. It's worse. It's higher. It's smaller
I know
frequency.
It's a crazy idea, but I have pushed it out, is that perhaps this is the plan of eradicating 227 million people, which we see that this site called Deagle.com puts out. What happens to all the millions of people that they say no longer exist in 2025? And then you look at these things like all the FEMA coffins that we've all seen pictures of, and you see these elites with their bunkers. What is the plan here? Or are they going to run to their bunkers, and then Eric Schmidt's going to stand behind them and turn on the 5G, zap us all, microwave us? America loses over 200 million people. Then these Chinese UN armies come pick up the bodies, pack us away, and then they start again. I know it sounds crazy, but people, we need to wake up and pay attention to what 5G really is.
Eric Schmidt is in China. Why is he in China, and why did China just say, oh, it's okay, you can have all the children you want now? Because 5G is going to sterilize them all. Eric Schmidt is over there making sure to finalize the satellites that go into place in stationary orbit above China to provide 5G for the entire country. And as he does so, he's guaranteed that will, of course, then sterilize the population, which makes then the totalitarian leaders of China quite happy. But if we go back here, what we're talking about here is Trump said no. When he went to China, no, you're not going to take Lenovo and infiltrate America. And you're not going to take ZTE or Huawei, Huawei, however you pronounce that in Chinese. So these Chinese phone companies, they were basically just trying to get a piece of the action here so they could eradicate Americans. Let's be real clear what the Chinese want. All of America. They want all of our land, all of our goods, and all of Americans they need to disappear.
And preferably with us not here.
Well, we need to disappear. whether it's a neutron bomb, whether it's a 5G radiation, whether it's the bad food, the poisonous food they send us, irradiated things that don't get me started on the Chinese.
Let's not put it all on the Chinese. Monsanto does a pretty good job filling us with GMOs and irradiated food all by themselves, and it's not coming from China. It's coming from American farmers, American soil.
The corporatocracy in America is disgusting. Monsanto and everyone on the Monsanto board should be considered a criminal and at war with Americans. So going back to China, why does he say Senator Schumer and Obama administration let phone company ZTE flourish with no security checks? They let them take over. They didn't just let them flourish. They begged them to come in and just take over everything. Oh, bring all your Chinese money. We're scared you're going to sell back our security bonds to us, the Federal U.S. Reserve bonds, and so we're going to let you just buy everything you want. And we stopped them at Hollywood a little bit. We stopped them in buying our parks. We stopped them in buying land and some of our resources. But in fact, they moved in as anyone who was trying to infiltrate America through technology. And Trump stopped them. And basically he's saying the Democrats allowed this attempted economic espionage overthrow of America from the Chinese interests with complete cognizance. And so he's pointing out that Schumer and Obama are criminals for allowing this to happen, and they are.
Well, they're also anti-American. That's if you are allowing that to happen to your citizens, you're anti-American. Okay, on to the next one. We are having very productive talks with North Korea about reinstating the summit, which, if it does happen, will likely remain in Singapore on the same date, June 12th, and if necessary, will be extended beyond that date.
And then later on, he complains that the Democrats say he can't get that done. Yeah, he can. He's the one who called it off. He can reestablish it as soon as silly Kim stops being ridiculous. But Trump knows what's going on. I'm not so sure. When he gets into this deal, Kim is not going to like the deal. He's probably going to walk out. It will not go easy in the first round, okay? For instance, what has Kim done? Trump calls off the deal, and what does Kim do? He still invites in all the press, and he blows up supposedly his entire nuclear facility, the tunnels. All 4 tunnels are collapsed now, and the facility is blown up. No. That's covering up the crimes. We already told you they had already collapsed. We already told you there'd been massive leaks. The recent explosions created no leaks, so they probably weren't very deep, and they just closed off the entrances to the 4 tunnels. But the facilities were blown up. We could have blown up those facilities at any time with one bomb without even claiming it was us. Anyone could have, because he was threatening the whole world. So why didn't we? We didn't want the nuclear mess. And so why did Kim blow that stuff up? Not only to show that he's more than anxious to get back into the conversation with Americans, Trump, not Americans. Trump does the deal. The whole world knows Trump does the deal. And so far, I haven't seen him lose a deal. A few times he's tricked people with what he thought we saw, but in the end, it turned out to be quite positive for America. And in this case, he slapped Kim across the face. Kim is down now, of course, happy as can be, going off as twin brothers with South Korea. Aligning completely as if Korea was never split, as if months ago he wasn't threatening to blow up South Korea, Japan, America, everyone but China. So it's all a bunch of bloviating. He's got like Tourette's bloviating disease. He must have watched a certain newscaster I'm thinking of for too long, because he thinks people are going to believe what he says when we know they're lies. He makes his people believe it, little Kim, but we don't believe it. So Trump didn't really back off. He's not changing anything. He's willing to go forward, but that first round of the art of the deal negotiations is not going to go easy for Kim, because he thinks he is divine, and he's not. He's actually a monster.
The Queen of England thinks she's divine.
She's convinced because of the divine right of kings, correct?
Yes, well, we have a thing about the Queen right now, because we're finding out all kinds of nasty ties to the United States and Britain that we didn't know existed. But that will be on other videos. Now, on the next tweet, I'm going to read, there are 2 related tweets. There's one in the middle that's not related to this, but let's keep them all together. Good news about the release of the American hostage from Venezuela. Should be landing in D.C. this evening and be at the White House with his family at about 7 p.m. The great people of Utah will be very happy. And then the other related tweet is, looking forward to seeing Joshua Holt this evening in the White House. The great people of Utah are celebrating.
That's right. So he had to name him Joshua Holt, and he named where he's from, Utah. He didn't name something that the reality here is he's a Mormon missionary, for heaven's sakes, who fell in love, who learned Spanish on his own. All Mormons have to go on a mission for 2 years, and so he falls in love with this woman online, goes down to marry her. But because he is a gringo, as the newspapers and everyone down there says, he got arrested because he's a gringo. They planted guns on him and put him in jail. Well, when you got a president like Trump, he's a real president. He's not like an Obama who couldn't care less about Americans abroad. This is what a president does. Even in light of working with a horrifying socialist dictator who wants nothing to do with America, he's able to do this. So, folks, you should be happy that we have a president in the White House now.
I mean, we just had the hostages returned from North Korea as well. He's got a really good track record here. I like what I'm seeing, and action speaks everything. Okay, now let's go back to the other one. Put pressure on the Democrats to end the horrible law that separates children from their parents. I do see a little misspelling there. I don't think it has significance, but from their parents once they cross the border into the U.S., catch and release. Lottery and chain must also go with it, and we must continue building the wall. Democrats are protecting MS-13 thugs. Now, the reason I point out that there is a little typo is because I do hear from people from time to time, and they must be, I don't know. I don't understand. Maybe they don't read the internet. When we're working in the internet, we're moving so quickly. You're going to find misspellings. Now, if you want to have a perfectly laid out, grammar spelled document, go read the New York Times. You might not read any truth in it, but you will read a properly grammatically constructed sentence. So,
I have yet, Betsy, since I became radicalized and started reading all this stuff, ever seen an article without a mistake. Not one, not ever. Not ever. I dare someone to send me an article that you think has no mistakes in it.
No, I do. I get these
not
people who say, oh my goodness, you forgot to and you didn't do that. I'm going, get over it.
Nobody cares.
I know.
New York Times, Washington Post, whatever, it doesn't matter. There are errors everywhere. And so sometimes they mean something. This case, I don't think it means anything.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is these horrible Democrats who, as we approach the election, they don't want to talk about DACA. They want to talk about sneaking in some kind of DACA amnesty that would allow basically all 20 million immigrants who are illegal, not undocumented. There's no such thing as an undocumented immigrant. There is an illegal immigrant. The reason they are undocumented is because they are illegal. It is one and the same. There is no way to diffuse the fact that they are illegal.
Well,
20
I don't even
million
like
of
the word
them.
immigrant. They're illegal aliens.
They are criminals. And what happens here, and we've gone on and on about this, is the lottery, the chain, the anchor babies, the catch and release means we do not have any immigration laws. And Congress writes the laws. The president must enforce those laws, but he also must secure the border. So it's a battle between the border and immigration. Immigration, when they're undocumented, often get a license in California and vote Democratic. Everybody knows that. We already know 3.5 million undocumented illegal votes in the last presidential election, and they only looked at 7 states. So if we really looked at the reality here, if we don't have a border, we don't have a country. And if you don't realize that the drug cartel death on our border with Mexico is a war, then you're blind. And any Democrat who's blind to the war going on our southern border should not be a politician. They shouldn't be representing anybody. So what he's saying here is he's going back to DACA. This is where he's going to again get DACA voters. Because when he doesn't say DACA, when he says lottery, chain, MS-13, borders, The DACA people all think, oh, they're safe, they're cool, they're in, nobody's going to make them leave. No, documented workers are probably going to be fine no matter what. So if you're willing to sneak into this country and work, unfortunately, you get to stay because you are a documented worker. Now, how did you get documented? You lied and you stole someone's social security number, which is a crime. But that's how you became a documented worker in most cases when you are an undocumented, illegal, criminal alien. So what he's dealing here with, again, is he's trying to win votes. Democrats are protecting MS-13 thugs because they were saying to him, they're not animals, they're humans, they deserve rights, there needs to be open borders, we need to invite all MS-13 and all their family through chain and through lottery and through no borders and no wall, invite them all in. And once we arrest them, we need to release them because they're not Americans. We can't hold them responsible for killing people, which we've done over and over and over again. We have allowed killers who came into this country illegally to be caught, documented, and then released. Caught again, documented, released, no matter how heinous the crime. And so it's disgusting, and he's really tired of it. This isn't just political. This is really, it's the future of America. And if we don't get a southern border, we don't have an America.
Well, all countries need to look at walls and borders now because what this really is about the roll up to globalism so that there'll be one world order that's taking care of the whole world. And part of the plan is you've got to get rid of countries thinking individually and as sovereign nations. And you've got to get rid of those walls and borders so that there is a porous flow of people in and out. Because what they're really doing, what MS-13 really is when I look at it, is just a form of ISIS terrorism. I mean, they can't very well plop your ISIS people here because we'll go, whoa, what's ISIS doing in America? So they go, well, let's go down here and get your MS-13. And really, this is an invasion. It's not immigration, it's an invasion. Now, if we were being invaded by Russians at the border, don't you know we would have all our military there standing guard to protect America? But no, because you've got these anti-American Democrats who only want globalism giving us lip service about how we need to have our walls open so we can all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. It doesn't cut it in anymore. We see what it is. It's an invasion. It's a part of taking down America, and it's a plan to get rid of our sovereignty.
And besides Europe, with Soros's plan through the EU to knock down their borders, and some of those countries resisting that completely, and we applaud those who do resist it and build borders. Those same people really want that to happen here, just as you say. And the program is that there would be no more America. And just as there is basically a faltering EU and all these countries in Europe, Sweden has basically declared bankruptcy. Other countries have said that their social service systems are broken, they cannot be repaired, and the supposed migrants, who you call an invasion, basically have won. And they don't even have a plausible solution. So folks, don't let that happen to America. Listen to President Trump and make sure we get those borders in place, because look what happened to an America who went to Venezuela. Framed up, put in jail. Okay. We're the only countries in the world that allow this. Most countries don't allow anyone in their country without proper visas. And if they overstay, they literally arrest them.
The next tweet is a shout out. Thanks to very brave teacher and hero Jason Seaman of Noblesville, Indiana, for his heroic act in saving so many precious young lives. His quick and automatic action is being talked about all over the world.
Yes, it's amazing. He was the coach in junior high. One of his previous students who he had worked with came in with a gun, mad at some girl, starts to shoot at her. She's critically wounded. He jumps up, rushes towards him, knocks the gun out of his hand, but not before he's shot 3 times, and then holds him down until he can be restrained. Now, this is just amazing. This is the kind of hero that just brings tears to your eyes. And this is the kind of thing that when Trump is saluting this, that you really have to realize that this is the kind of president we would want. Not the one who would bring people who were fake members of a false flag shooting into the White House to demand that all weapons be taken from America. No, because just recently another hero, a security guard, shot and stopped a shooting in a high school. And if, for instance, I was a principal, there is no such thing as a non-secure door that doesn't have a camera on it in any school in America according to law. So how these things are happening is beyond my imagination. I also ran strict discipline academies and also ran prison schools. And what we have here is a failure to protect our children.
But I believe that it is done that way to continue to create fear in Americans with this objective of us giving up our guns.
Oh, absolutely. And it isn't necessarily just our sitting government that is continuing these false flags or these attacks, which now I believe are killing people. It is definitely a propaganda tool that is the cruelest thing imaginable. But if you had the proper security, I don't care if there's no books in the school, as long as there's security there if my children are going there.
Well, we both worked in the school business for a long time, and we would do these questionnaires to parents about why they were coming to the schools, and always at the top of the list, always was safety and security. And we didn't have to spend millions of dollars to keep our schools safe and secure. Let's get back to the Trump tweets, if you don't mind. Ready? Okay. Unlike what the failing and corrupt New York Times would like people to believe, there is zero disagreement, and zero has big caps, within the Trump administration as to how to deal with North Korea. And if there was, it wouldn't matter. The @New York Times has called me wrong right from the beginning.
Failing New York Times. That's really the key factor here. That's the reason they're now promoting positive things about Trump. But they always then come up with these nonsense things about, the Trump administration is falling apart. Now, here's the key factor right here. It wouldn't matter. He doesn't care what his people tell him. They can tell him anything they want. He'll listen for a while. He's going to do what he wants. Trump will. And if he doesn't like them, they're gone. And he's going to have both sides of the story being told to him. He's not going to just have one side of the story, which is what, unfortunately, previous presidents do. Set themselves up with yes people, and then they go nowhere, and they don't look at both sides of the story. So they can't make a good deal because they never made a deal to begin with. So it doesn't matter what people are telling about North Korea. He's going to do what he's going to do, and he knows exactly who he's dealing with. And so far, it's worked better than any other president has ever done, or any president who is facing this kind of thing of bullying over the threat of nuclear annihilation, which is caca in most cases.
And of course, he can always send out a tweet and let us know what he's doing, and you're here happy to interpret that tweet. The last one we have for the day is the failing at New York Times quotes. Quote, a senior White House official, unquote, who doesn't exist as saying, quote, even if the meeting were reinstated, holding it on June 12th would be impossible given the lack of time and the amount of planning needed, close quote. Again, in big caps, wrong again, exclamation point. Use real people, not phony sources.
He's got to take down the mainstream media, and he just does it all the time, and he's doing such a great job. And one of these times he's going to say the failed New York Times, because it will be bankrupt.
But yes.
And one of these times, people are going to understand that Trump is in charge. It's really as simple as that. Believing anybody else, it doesn't matter whether they talked to him 2 minutes ago. That's old news. That's secondhand, and that may not be what Trump is thinking right now. So, and even if it was, it doesn't matter. He's going to get rid of anybody who isn't enacting his agenda. So, we're thrilled that he is giving out so many tweets. I don't know about you, Betsy, but I find it wonderful because so many people don't understand the depth of what he is saying. And when he's also stating a senior White House official, what he just said is, that's another leaker who's going to go down. There are
So it's either a leaker or someone is lying.
Well, they are
lying. The New York Times
and
is lying, or it's a leaker. What are you saying? Is both?
It's both, yeah.
A leaker who's lying?
Well, they take the leaker and then they amplify it and they make it a lie, and then they never even go back and correct those things. So what he's saying here is there are either 4 or 5 separate investigations now going after the leakers, and so you want to take your quote from a senior White House official, really? Well, that senior White House official may not be one for much longer.
Well, that's all I have for today. I'm sure he's probably been busy tweeting as we've been doing this. You've looked at the news today, at Truth News Headlines. Do you have any comments you'd like to make on the day yourself?
Everything is moving forward. Now you hear everyone, in alternative media, in mainstream media, spies. There's more than one spy. Here's my list of 7 spies. Here's my list of 8 spies. Here's a spy. There's spies that they're throwing out names. I haven't even heard of these people, and I'm having to go, well, wait a second. I thought I had found the 8 spies. You mean there's more than 8 spies? And what I like is that they've already twisted it and turned it around because he branded it as Spygate, and now it's a joke. Well, the reason Hillary lost is because they didn't send in enough spies to help her and protect her from those Russians. And it's beautiful that it's now twisted. It's beautiful. I can't even come up with words that can describe how happy the entire conclave is that we can sit back now and focus on the deeper connections. And what are the deeper connections? What we just happen to realize in our own studies. This goes back to the British Crown. It goes back to Sir Geoffrey Patty. It goes back to Sir Dearlove. It goes back to Andrew Wood and all these people who helped Christopher Steele and Mifsud and Downer and all these Brits attack us during our election. And by the way, they were the first company, this company, Cambridge Analytica, the mother company, Strategic Communications Laboratories, they were the first company that says they were the first professional PSYOPs company. And now they're selling their services to the military. And Stephen Halper works for them. And one of the things he was paid for in the many things we now show of the different ways, as Trump said, how many ways was this guy paid? We found 4 ways that he was paid. And under one of them, I love this, he was doing a study that he called Social Sciences and Humanities. He was being paid $400,000 for this. And the title of one of his papers was, We Are Americans. The paper was for Americans. We are British and China is us. In other words, the whole past, we are Brits. We never got through the revolution. He wrote a report on this to say it.
Just take a moment. If you're listening to us and you hear us say that, you go, how could these people be so rational reading Trump tweets? And then all of a sudden they are telling us that we didn't win the American Revolution and that we are still part of Britain. And so we do mean that. We've done the research. This is what is being shown to us, and we have the evidence. It'll take you each step of the way. So continue on, because this is a big red pill.
Well, and then the other thing is that, and China is us. In other words, just like Kissinger said, give it up, Trump. China rules us. Learn Chinese. And Trump said, you're out of your mind. I'm going to fight them tooth and fang. America is not going down, and America has not been taken over by the Brits. But now he may see from the evidence we presented that since the American colonies were founded, the Brits have never let go of complete control, and now it's become a corporate control, and the U.S. Federal Reserve and so on and so forth, and all these agencies in the government, the SES and Serco and the Crown agents.
Even the federal courts, they're a corporation,
totally
not part of the U.S. government.
And who is it that controls almost every corporation in America? CT Corporation, which is a Dutch company. We told you this is a battle between the Dutch, the German, and the British imperialists that started back with the Dutch East India Company, the British East India Company, and the German traders. It's never stopped. Who do you think owns the Federal Reserve? Dutch, German, and British banker families. This is very clear. We've demonstrated this again and again. So what I'm saying is the new spy stuff, Spygate, has revealed a part that nobody ever understood, because you always think Five Eyes. Oh, we're in an intelligence network with four other countries, one of them being Britain and the other 3 being British Commonwealth nations. So what is it how is it we're different than the Brits? How is it that the head of their NSA, the British NSA, came over, worked with Brennan and spied on Trump? What's that guy's name? Robert Hannigan? Is this even possible? Yes, it's more than possible. We told you this when it happened, because there were reports out that whistleblowers and others stated this was happening, and we confirmed it. And yes, it's always been going on since the election, since July of 2016. The British have not stopped helping an attempted overthrow of the election and then Trump. Right now, at this very moment, Daniel Jones, through Pin Quarter Group, is carried on where Fusion GPS left off with the Brits and Christopher Steele. It's still going on. And who's supporting that? Russians. Oleg Deripaska, a Russian, is supporting this anti-Trump opposition after he became president, still continuing the counterintelligence operation that Stefan Halper was part of. So what we're saying is Spygate is as big as Trump said. It is the worst scandal in U.S. history and may be the biggest political scandal in history when it all plays out, which is going to take some while. But as it plays out, it almost assures that Trump and his team and those who believe in Trump will stay in their political positions. He'll stay in the White House. He'll be reelected. And as this overthrow of this revolution and a second American revolution is actually taking place to break the bonds between the globalists who are trying to take over America and have done a pretty good job of it, he will be reelected, and Trump supporters will also be elected to the Congress and the Senate, and we will actually see some of the largest transformations that we've ever seen in American history happen since the first American Revolution.
And we'll be there every step of the way.